What is your toxic family or relationship story? Am I wrong for buying stuff my sister is allergic to? I'm 17 and female. My sister is 15. She has a mild strawberry allergy. It could never ever cause breathing issues unless she ate an entire punnet, but it can cause hives. She keeps nicking my bath products, shampoo, body butter and scrub, lotions, etc., which are the only thing I really spend out on. I buy my stuff when I need it and most of the remaining money goes untouched. I usually get a floral or fruit scent like rose or pomegranate, but I like strawberry and never buy it because of her allergies. I've told her multiple times to stop taking my stuff, but she still goes into my room and takes it. So lately, as stuff has been running out, I've been replacing it with the exact same thing, but the strawberry version. Basically everything I own now contains strawberry in some way. Everything is clearly labeled, but earlier my sister went into my room and without looking at the label used some strawberry hand lotion and now her hands itch. She and mom have both cussed me out saying I can't have this stuff in the house. But I maintain that if she didn't go into my room and take my things, this wouldn't be a problem. Am I the unreasonable one? More info. I pay out for the fancy stuff that contains actual strawberries, not the cheaper stuff that just has the scent, which is why her hands are itchy, because she basically squirted strawberry juice on them. This is also why I'm so annoyed about her taking stuff, because it's expensive and the only time I really spend out on anything is when I get these. Am I wrong for saying my mom is as much of a gold digger as my sister's boyfriend? I am 21 and female. My mom met my dad in college. My dad comes from old family money, but my mom's family was very middle class. But when my sister, 24, and I were growing up, my mom acted like she had always been upper class, and is very snobbish. I remember how we would go to dinner with her siblings and she would insist on choosing the restaurant to make sure it was up to her standards, make a big show of paying the bill, and then would crap talk her siblings and their spouses/kids the whole way home, making fun of their clothes, cars, jobs, you name it. She has always placed importance on whoever was wealthiest and had the best family, and wouldn't let my sister and I hang out with kids after school who weren't up to her standards. It's made our relationship a little strained, especially since she obsesses about these things today. But she's my mom and I love her. Anyways, due to the pandemic, I'm staying with my parents since my college sent everybody home. My sister is living in another state, but we have family Zoom calls once a week. On one of the early Zoom calls, my sister told us that she had a new boyfriend and they ended up moving in together for quarantine. My sister has her own apartment which my parents pay for partially. They go to the same law school, and he seemed very sweet when we talked to him. My mom started in with the parents, childhood, plans, etc. line of questioning. He told her that he had gotten a scholarship for law school since his dad was a construction worker and his mom was a preschool teacher, and that he grew up in a small town. My mom was super chilly to him after this, and afterwards went on a rant about how he wasn't good enough for sister, and how he just wants her money after all. My dad and I thought she'd stop, but she did this every single call, super cold to a perfectly nice guy, and ranting and talking trash about him afterwards. She did the whole thing again after our most recent call, and I was pretty fed up. I asked her to stop saying that stuff and she said it was the truth, that he was just a gold digger. I asked her how she was different from him since she grew up a lot like him and asked if she just wanted dad's money after all. She got super upset with me and didn't tell me to get out or anything, but she's been sort of ignoring me since then and makes passive-aggressive comments or mentioning how she's been crying. My dad talked to me after dinner and said that I really hurt her feelings and she just wants to make sure my sister ends up with a good guy even if she doesn't seem like it. He said that she was just trying to be a good mom and I upset her. I feel really bad. She can be annoying at times, but she is my mom and I don't want to hurt her. Am I the unreasonable one? I really appreciate all the help, and I'll definitely use some of your scripts next time she starts ranting about my sister's BF. Brother upset I am not taking on childcare duties when we live together. Am I in the wrong? My brother Howard and I are renting a house from our father. Originally it was just me and a cousin, but Howard moved in when she left. Howard and his wife, Janice, have 2 kids. My niece and nephew, both under age 5, spend half the week with one parent, and half the week with the other. Howard has them from Friday to Monday morning. The current problem: I have tried to talk to my brother about his expectations of help and that I find them unreasonable. I am not the second parent in the household. I view us living together as roommates, not really a family unit. I am here until I finish school and can move out on my own. He wants to go to the gym or go out with friends, but the times he wants to go are during my only free time. I feel like I shouldn't be asked to give up my free time when babysitters are available for that kind of thing. He is just too cheap to hire one. His argument, that he would do the same for me, is empty. I don't plan to have kids. He has insulted me for not dropping everything to watch his kids, calling me selfish and shallow for not helping him out. About me, Howard says, I have an issue with my sister not helping because we live together and we should, as a family, be willing to help when need be. I feel like she has done very little to help with the kids. She makes her own meals, but she doesn't offer to help make meals for the kids. She is not home much, but when she is, she will order something small to the house and not ask if I want anything. I will give her money. When I ask her to help me get the kids ready for something, she tells me no. We have gotten into arguments because she will see I am trying to get the kids ready and she just leaves, without even asking if I am okay. I need to get away from the kids sometimes. I have asked her to watch the kids while I get milk from the store. She says she will pick up the milk for me. When I tell her I need a minute loan, she says the offer is I get the milk or nothing. I am drowning in debt. I have a failing marriage. My kids are a lot, and my parents live far away. I just need some help and she has refused to be more than a passing stranger in their lives. I am hurt, overwhelmed, and resentful, which I don't want to be. But I feel like she could help more, or even a little bit. Our dad has a pool in the back. She swims laps every morning. It was 90 degrees here the other day and the kids wanted to swim. I had to take calls and asked if she would watch them for 20 minutes. She said, no, she was finishing laps, making breakfast, and going out with friends, so she didn't have time. I would desperately like some help. Conclusion. We both think we are right and cannot think of a way to make the other person understand. Thanks for the help. Howard and Renee. Is it wrong that I didn't explain how I lost my leg right away? I am 24 and male. In the summer of 2016, I was driving pretty late at night. There wasn't anybody around, so I was enjoying the peace and quiet. Then, out of nowhere, this speeding car hit me and I remember hearing a loud screech and seeing black. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital and I'm told I was in a horrific car crash. Basically, another driver had been drunk driving and was speeding and slammed straight into the driver's side of the car. My lower body was crushed and I had broken all the major bones in my lower right leg beyond repair, and that my leg had been immediately amputated from the knee whilst I was unconscious. I also had breaks in other parts of me, open bleeding wound, and even some burn wounds as part of the car had been leaking and caught fire. All in all, I was pretty lucky to be alive as I should have died. Anyway, I had a long recovery. I was in the hospital for months and also had to learn to walk again with a fake leg. When I eventually did heal, I was left with some noticeable burn scars, normal scars due to the crash, and quite glaringly a missing leg. The crash had a profound effect on me as I was only 20 and it destroyed my relationship with my then girlfriend and my mental health. It took me a long time to feel comfortable being an amputee and I decided to get into the dating game. My friends helped me and I have currently been talking to someone for the past few weeks and we've been able to meet a couple of times. She knows I'm missing a leg, but I never explained why as I didn't really know her and it was an insanely personal thing to open up about. I finally told her what happened to me last night and explained that it's not something that's easy for me to talk about and how I'm pretty scarred both physically and mentally from it. I kinda thought she'd get it, but she got really angry with me. She said that I'm an a-hole as I clearly don't trust her enough to open up about my past to her, especially something as huge as the crash, as it's pretty visible I only have one leg. I tried to reason with her and say that it's only been a few weeks, but I just made things worse. I do really like her and I think maybe I could have said something earlier, so I can see why she felt a little hurt. But I also believe that sometimes huge things take time to come out, so I don't know. Am I the unreasonable one? Am I the unreasonable one for still moving out after my pregnant roommate broke up with her boyfriend and cannot pay rent on her own anymore? My roommate got pregnant and asked me to move out so her boyfriend could move in and they could turn my bedroom into a nursery for the baby. That made sense to me and I had absolutely no problem moving out. My paychecks have been a little unstable anyway, so I had been using my savings to pay rent. So ending the lease early was actually really helpful for me, so I can build up my savings again. I thought I would just go live at parents' house for a while. They are staying at another house they have in different part of the country. They've said I can stay there for free as long as I take care of the place and do all the basic upkeep. The plan was that I would officially move out at the end of this month. 2 weeks ago though, my roommate and her boyfriend got into a big fight and broke up. I don't know the details. I just know that he doesn't want to live here with her anymore. After that, my roommate asked if I wanted to stay. I said no because with a baby around the corner, her due date is in early July, I don't think it will be a pleasant living situation. So since then she has been trying to get a new roommate by posting all over online, but so far no one contacted her about it. Earlier today, she came up to me very seriously and sort of pleaded with me to stay. She said she hasn't been able to find anyone interested in moving in and she won't be able to afford rent next month unless someone moves in and doesn't know what else to do. I totally get she is in a very tough and scary position now and I do feel sorry for her. but staying at my parents' just makes more financial sense for me. It would only hurt me financially to continue to stay here and pay rent. Am I the unreasonable one for not telling my co-workers I had applied for adoption until I actually adopted my child? So I am 33 and female. When I was 25, I officially applied to the adoption register. I knew really early on I wanted kids, but I don't have a successful love life, so adoption seemed the best case for me. I also wanted to be able to provide for a kid in the care system. I thought I'd get rejected because of my age, but I found out I was okay as I was over 21 and I met pretty much all the requirements. I knew I'd have a long way to begin with getting checks and stuff done and even potentially getting matched with a kid. I was open-minded, and due to my age I was willing to adopt a child aged between 0 to 5. I didn't get a match for a really long time. Then I did when I was 27. He was a beautiful little 15-month-old, and I even got close to adopting him. But we unfortunately weren't meant to be. He clicked better with a couple and I accepted it. I had a few more chances, but we weren't good fits, and as I hit my 30s, I really thought it wouldn't happen. Then, I got matched with Lola when I was 31. She was 2, came from an abusive background, and we got along really well. I opened up my home to her and fostered her for over a year. She seemed to work really great with me, and I started proceedings to adopt her, which took a couple of months, and it became official only a couple of weeks ago. Now, I didn't tell anybody I'd tried to adopt for 8 years except for my immediate family. I didn't know how it would work out, especially even with things going great with Lola. I only told my boss about the adoption as it sometimes interfered with my work, and he was really understanding. I didn't mention it to my coworkers as I didn't want to get my hopes up in case Lola ended up going back into care. Anyway, I've worked at my current job a good few years with the same people. I'm still going in as lockdown restrictions have been eased, and I finally told them that I was officially a mom. They had some generic questions and I said Lola was 4 and beautiful, and I was really psyched, and one of them got really bishy. She said it was a really shady thing to hide the fact Lola has been living with me for at least 2 years almost, and that I'm an a-hole for hiding my daughter's existence. I never hid her. I just told my family and boss as I didn't know how well things would be, and I didn't want Lola getting spooked by a bunch of strangers she doesn't know. Maybe I could have been a bit more open about my adoption struggles, but I've waited so long to be a mom and had so much disappointment that I didn't want to say anything until I was one for sure. Am I the unreasonable one? Update. I kept her identity a secret purely for safeguarding. I won't go into details, but she was really affected by her abusive household and was scared to be around anyone but me for a long time, so introducing her to strangers was not the best option. I also didn't know if fostering her would lead to adoption. I don't want my sister to move in with me. I am in my mid-20s and my sister is in her late 30s. I got a studio flat knowing my sister wanted to move in with me, and I didn't tell my family. Am I being unreasonable? The story. So, my sister and I both recently ended relationships. Hers was a really rough divorce that has left my sister very fragile, and she's been living with our parents since January. Aside from the divorce being very emotionally trying, she also lost her job due to divorce-related stress affecting her performance at work, and because her ex dragged it out, she ended up draining her savings in lawyer fees. In March, my relationship also ended, and when I couldn't find a new place before the lease was up, I also ended up back at our parents' house. I moved into my new place today. I realized I'd need 2 trips to move everything, so my parents offered to take half and get it done in one. And when they saw it was a studio, they lost their crap. Over the last couple months they've made a couple comments, things like saying that I'd better look for a 2-bedroom, and to not choose a place before my sister has seen it. There was also a conversation with my sister where she said I can't wait to get out of here, and when I asked her if she'd found somewhere to live yet, she looked confused, and then changed topic. I got the feeling they were angling towards us being roommates, so I tried to shut it down in the nicest way possible, as my sister is fragile right now, but I really don't want to live with her. As I had the feeling my parents were angling for me to take my sister, I specifically looked for studio flats, so she couldn't have her own bedroom or even say she'd sleep on the sofa. There was no conversation where any of them explicitly said we fully expect you to get a 2-bedroom so you can live together, but apparently all 3 of them were expecting me to have room for her. Having said that, there was also no conversation where I explicitly said no freaking way. It was just a couple months of her and our parents joking about us living together and me saying haha no. We had an argument when they saw my flat was a studio, during which I admitted that I'd looked for studios so my sister couldn't live with me. My sister started crying and said if you hate me that much you could have just said so. They all left and it's been a few hours. I've received a total of 43 calls and 67 messages, most of which I'm just ignoring. But they're all saying I'm an a-hole for pretending to not know what they were talking about and forcing my sister to stay with them, and they say that as there was clearly an expectation that she would live with me, I should have said something sooner. as they've apparently had to pack and now unpack my sister's suitcases because they thought they'd be making another trip to get her stuff after moving mine. I did actually relay the conversation to a friend who was in a similar situation, but they said that I should have been clearer and shut it down sooner, rather than get my sister's hopes up over a miscommunication. Am I the unreasonable one? Am I the unreasonable one for asking a woman how many kids she adopted when she made comments about me adopting interracially? Basically, I have 3 kids and 1 is adopted. She is my youngest and happens to be of African American heritage, whereas the rest of us are Caucasian, and she's 9 years old. This happened over the summer, but basically we were at a water park. I was sitting down and my 9-year-old was playing in this little water feature. She was able to play on it by herself, but kept running up to me to tell me things. The family sitting next to me was black. About the 3rd time my daughter came up to me to tell me something, the mom of the family next to me made a comment about white people adopting black children and not knowing how to take care of them properly. She said that she felt bad for my daughter and made comments about her hair looking terrible, but that was just because she was in the pool all day. Her husband kept trying to shush her, but it wasn't working. I eventually turned around and said, "Have you adopted any kids?" She said that she didn't, and I said, "Then you have no room to talk. If you want more African American children in African American households, then maybe you should adopt. Stop talking about my family." When she argued back, I told her that I would report her, and I admit that is where I may have crossed the line. My husband was mad about that and told me that was taking it too far, but I was so upset. I was so glad my daughter was too busy playing to notice, but it hurt so much to hear that and think that she may hear it one day. To clarify, I know how to manage my daughter's hair. In the age of YouTube videos, it would be a shame if I didn't, but I also read blogs and get tips from a Facebook hair group. She has a solid hair routine. This was her normal hair day, so she didn't care about what her hair looked like. She knew we were going to go home and take care of it. She didn't want to wear her swim cap. My oldest kid is a swimmer and his friends call swim caps hair condoms every time they wear them, so maybe that's why my daughter hates them. But whatever. I brought it along and had it just in case she changed her mind. But I am not into fighting battles that don't need to be fought. My other 2 kids are younger adults, and I learned a long time ago to save those battles for more serious things. I was going to report her to security. I wasn't going to call the cops, but I wanted her moved by security for repeatedly harassing us. My daughter kept running up to us, and I didn't want her to overhear the other woman making her feel like she isn't part of our family. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.